Okay, YouTubers, welcome to Company Havoc number 2. I'm your host, Echo Fan Grey Wolf. Alright, this is a Pretendian video. This will be the last video for tonight, because then I'm going to go to the basement and make some TikToks about Felon 47 and gonna stitch that news break if it's stitchable. And I really don't know where to begin or how to begin this, but I'm going to begin this with, in all the TikToks, I am so sick and tired of black people making us look bad. With this, the 5 civilized tribes is the only tribes that they pick, and they only seem to pick the Choctaw, the Cherokee, the Chickasaw, the Creek, and the Seminole. And they keep trying to say that these people are officially black people. Image of a Choctaw man. Okay. So these pictures are in black and white, and some pictures are drawn. Trying to find one that they have not used yet. Alright, that's artwork. No, I want a real person. Is that a real person? You'll do. This unfortunate fella has passed away. But that's a Choctaw. Image of a Cherokee man. Okay. Let's see. What can I get here? You'll do. You can see that this guy's not black, right? Image of a Chickasaw man. That's artwork. I need a live photo. Oh yeah, that might help if I went over to images. Alright, this is more artwork. That's a statue. Don't want to use him. Okay. Blah, blah. Let's go back up. Yeah, let's go back up. Let's use this one. You can see he's not black, right? See if I can find you another one. This Chickasaw. His proximity to whiteness is not good. His proximity to whiteness. His proximity to whiteness. There's a very lot of light-skinned brothers up on here that looks more white than native. He looks more white than native. Okay. And he looks more native than white. So this is a Chickasaw. Now, image of a Muskogee Creek man. Now I have to word this carefully when I do freaking Seminole. Let's see. Oh man, that's dude's daddy. Brings a plenty. Damn it. Okay, I know him. This is a Muskogee Creek man. He's an actor. He played in the original Poltergeist. He wound up getting the car at the end of the movie. Image of a Sioux man by blood. God damn it, that's not even the right tribe. Image of a God damn it. No. Image of a Seminole by blood tribal member. Alright. So, that one's kind of scary. You don't want to do that. Sorry, y'all. You're trying to find something to prove a point. Okay, this is a Seminole by blood. Image of a black Seminole. Okay. And that's a black man. But he looks like he's Afro-Indigenous, so we can't really use him because he has indigenous features. Okay, blacks and Seminoles. But the girl could be actually mixed. Now, I brought this up for a reason. These young ladies here are black Seminoles, but they are not Seminoles by blood. A lot of the Pretendians are using that in images like this, and the light might have fucked that up. So, there's that. And now we can go to this. Now, see, the Seminole tribe had black members that were not by blood, and then they had black members who were Afro-Indigenous who married and had children with the black Seminoles. All right? Which would look more like this guy, who may be Afro-Indigenous, but I can't tell because the picture doesn't give me enough detailed justice. Now, this person would be Afro-Indigenous, I believe. Let's see what the fuck the learn more says. And it won't let me do it because of the stupid ass cell phone. But this would be more Afro-Indigenous, but she still has the Afro-Indigenous phenotype, which I slightly resemble. Now, somehow or another, image of a black person. These are 4 different black people. This one has more like a native or an indigenous to Africa necklace. Alright? Let's see what we got. Image of a tribal African from the Zulu tribe. It's the only tribe I know. Okay. So you can see their regalia is not much different than Native American regalia. But that does not prove that they're here first. and they have shields. No. Their dances are somewhat similar too, but that does not make them indigenous to America. And now, let me see if I can do this right. Image of Abu Bakari. This is an image of Abu Bakari. I doubt if that's what he actually looked like. And that was a better image than this image. This image looks like some shit from the Outer Limits, so brace yourself. Let's go more. This image is more appropriate. Image of Mata Musa. Well, goddamn it, that's who I just showed. I don't know if that's him or an actor, but there you go. So now that we got that all out the way, let's talk Pretendians. The new Pretendians are black people. The old Pretendians were white people. Hopefully that makes some substance of sense to you. I am part native, part black, and part white. And I was on my way to reconnecting with the Native American tribe. And I can tell you here on this app versus tell you on TikTok because I don't have that many followers here as I do on TikTok. But my great grandmother is from the Chickahominy area in Charles City, Virginia. That is where she is buried, and that was the tribe I was going to go get paper of the lineage and try to reconnect. Now, the reason why I can tell you here is because people have stole my stuff on TikTok. For example, I was talking about Bigfoot, and someone took what I said, word for word, verbatim, and sure as fuck, either later that day or the next day, was in a live telling my story, word for word. And I about dropped my fucking wig with that. The same day I told about Bigfoot, I told about how to make a canoe. And if I had the right equipment, because there's like some trees down in the fucking trail. I was like, if I could drag it home, and if I had the right filing equipment and the thing to treat the wood so that it won't like wither and float and stuff, well, so it won't wither, but it will float. And wax it after I file it out and shave all the bark off the tree and then shape it like a canoe and get shit straight. Well, that same ass fucker told that story also. And me and other reconnecting natives and shit were like, you know what, we should let them have the bad folklore. No, skinwalkers, deer woman, thunderbird, coyote the trickster. We should let them have some of them. Except for Coyote the Trickster is not really a bad one. He's just mischief, like Loki in Norse mythology. The deer woman and the thunderbird are spirits of vengeance. So I would love to have those two show up at these Pretendians' houses and just let them run rickshaw. Skinwalkers are shapeshifters who yield to dark magic. And I don't not believe in magic. Or let me put it to you the way I try to tell myself. I do kind of believe in magic because I believe in these deities, but I don't want to encounter that magic, and I don't want to dabble in that magic. And there are some things that you can fuck with in native culture that you can't get rid of. And if you do fuck with it, it could cost you part of your soul. More of your soul than your body. I'm probably not getting that shit right. Again, I only had my great-grandmother in summertime as a kid, and she died when I was 10. So that was back in 1983 when she passed. There are a lot of things that you Pretendians don't seem to understand. And fucking with black magic, regardless of whether it's Indian magic or African magic, is bad. Don't fuck with that shit. And even if you come from a family with the bloodline that goes into magic, Don't fuck with that shit. I will explain. So, as a kid, I was plagued by the witch rider from the age of 7 to the age of 15. And I would often ask people, how do you combat this motherfucker? How do you combat it? And no one could give me an honest answer. Because they would always tell me, well, if you sleep on your back, it can't get you. Wrong. If you sleep on your side, it can't get you. If you sleep on your stomach, it will damn sure get you. Because then you're really at your most vulnerable spot because you can't reach back there to get that bitch off you. I eventually figured out that I could touch it. I could never do that before. But that's just 100% determination of this motherfucker was not going to get away from me and that I was going to prove that it existed. It has not ever come back since then. And I don't want to talk it up. But there are things in forces beyond our control. If you can believe in God, you can believe in magic. And I believe in God. I would never force that down anybody's throat, but I definitely believe in God. And you should be mindful of the things that you dabble in, especially if it's science, especially if it's dark arts, because that shit can come back to bite you in the ass. One of my favorite X-Men is Forge. His sensei for magic was Maze, and Maze would be possessed by this dude, and Forge would eventually have to kill 7 X-Men and 1 pilot named Madeline Pryor to seal this motherfucker away forever. The same way that Charles Xavier had to seal away the Shadow King. In native stuff, there are things that you need to be made physically aware of. I'm going to probably get some smoke for this, but I'm going to give this to you just for your safety. 1, there's 2 types of Bigfoot, and I'm not counting the abominable snowman, because there's probably 2 of them too. But that's out of my depth. You have good Bigfoot, and you have not so good Bigfoot. Some Bigfoots worked with the natives to fight not so big Bigfoots. Or not so good Bigfoots. I don't want to meet either one of them because I can't tell them apart, and I've never met them, and I'm not trying to meet them. 2, the Wendigo and Bigfoot are 2 different things. There's more than one type of Wendigo. And if you are a medicine man that dabbles too deep in the dark arts, just like the skinwalkers, you can become a Wendigo. But most of the time, Wendigos only change when they eat human flesh. And then they don't stop, and the craving never ends. And that's some of the Ojibwa that I've learned for those tales. Because Wendigo is definitely Ojibwa. But Bigfoot belongs to everybody. But Wendigo specifically, and I can be wrong because I'm not Ojibwa, but most Ojibwa can tell you, don't fuck with Wendigos. Now, there's also the water sprites that are also Wendigo that used to snatch people at the water and drown them. And that's how they procreated, by turning whoever they drowned into new ones of them. But they also used to grab babies. So, at certain spots and certain places in Ojibwa tales, you keep your babies away from the water at certain times of the day. And there was one about the water witch, and I can't remember how that fucking goes. But I know it's also Ojibwa. But I'm not Ojibwa, but I know. There's also tales about how crows used to be white birds, and natives turned them black as punishment for always giving away their position in hunting. Now that one I read many, many years ago, but I can't tell you what tribe it's from. But there are tales about crows too. Not really bad tales, but I still am learning that this bird, and there's crows of falcons and hawks and wolves, i.e. gray wolf. And I'm beginning to believe, even though I tell y'all this is bullshit, I'm beginning to believe that maybe how I got my name isn't bullshit. Maybe my great-grandmother's voice did echo from the past and strike like the fangs of a gray wolf and slap me upside my head, which is why I'm still fighting so hard for both sides. Anyway, the Pretendians who are now black, they have never seen a hatchet. They don't know what a bow and arrow is. They don't know what a tomahawk is. And for some reason, they believe that they were here first. There is no psychological issue that can be fixed with these people. They are fucking stuck. They believe all-heartedly that black people were the original American Indians and that the Native Americans are not the American Indians, but they are. Let me break this down for you in case a Pretendians watching. When Columbus found the Americas, he only made it to the islands with the Tainos. He was taking a trip to to India, but he thought he was taking a shortcut, which is why it's called the West Indies. He did not describe black people. He described people who look more like me than the average black person, but I'm also biracial, triracial, etc. So, he took some of them. He unalived some of them. They raped some of them and took some of them back to Spain, never to be seen again. Later, when America was really reached and Pocahontas' daddy was going to unalive John Smith, she saved him. Probably her first mistake. And then some things happened and Pocahontas was pretty much blackmailed to going across seas and being with John Roth. And then she became Rebecca. They had a baby or two. And then she died before she ever hit the age of 30. She never saw 30. I don't think she ever saw 21, but back then, age wasn't a number and there was no statutory rape laws and shit like that. We never got her to come home to Virginia. And neither did any of her children. And there has been a lot of black people claiming that they are the kids of Pocahontas, and I'm like, that's not possible. It's highly improbable also, because there were no fucking natives that was with her. If there were natives with her, they probably didn't last very long over there either. And then to top that off, because of my grievous mistake, which I owned today on TikTok. You probably can't read this, and I can't say it, but Wahan Sonakok. I totally butchered that. I'm going to spell it for you. But he's Pocahontas' daddy. And Hiawatha is the leader of the Onondaga people, as well as the Mohawks. Also, he was the leader of the Iroquois Confederacy. So we're going to spell Pocahontas' father for you. Wahunsonacock. Wahanasonakok. Yeah, totally butchered that shit. But he was a Powhatan. And that's here in Virginia. It's not a civilized tribe. Also, we're going to do one more thing, and then we're going to end this shit. Okay, I closed that. Nope. I'm going to read this to you. Were the Native Americans in Virginia part of the Dawes Rolls? This motherfucker. American Indians in Virginia, were they part of the Dawes Rolls? This bitch said dog rolls. No American Indian in Virginia were subject to the Dodge rules. What the fuck is that? It's supposed to say the Dodge rules, but it says the Dodge rules. Known as the Dodge Nave Rule, were set to apply. The rules apply specifically to the Cherokee Nation in Oklahoma and not to American Indians in Virginia. The Dodge Rules relocated and disturbed the allotted lands of the Cherokee members as part of the Dawes Act. Now it's spelled Dawes Act. Here's why American Indians in Virginia were not subject to the rules. The Dodge Rules specifically implemented within the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma, not in Virginia. The Dodge Rules were part of a border effort to assimilate the Native American tribes into mainstream American society. Though the Dawes Act was primarily targeted at tribes in the western United States, the concept of tribal sovereignty where each tribe in their own internal governance of legal system recognized and honored them, including the Cherokee Nation. Now, I don't know why it said the Dodge rule, but it was supposed to be the Dawes rules. And it could just be because I talk funny. So we're going to try that again and type in the Dawes rules. D-A-W. Yes. Rules. Now let's see what that says. Okay, so the AI overview says no American Indians in Virginia were not part of the Dawes Rules. The Dawes Rules specifically pertain to the 5 civilized tribes Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, and Seminole, who had been relocated to their territories. The Dawes Rules were concentrated to divide the communal tribal lands into individual allotments for these tribes, a process that did not apply to tribes in Virginia. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to read that, because it's probably going to show up backwards, but I wanted to make sure that I showed you that. Don't worry, I can show you the other one. All I have to do is hit the back arrow. Here's more detailed explanation. The Dawes rules in the five tribes. The Dawes rules also allowed as a final rules were created to determine which individual was eligible for tribal membership of the land allotments within the 5 civilized tribes who had been forcibly relocated to Indian Territory in present-day Oklahoma. Focus on Indian Territory. The Dawes Rules were specifically processed to determine the allotments of the tribal memberships within the land territory, not the general process of Native American tribes across the United States. Virginia tribes, unlikely the Indian Territory, had different history situations. The American tribes, the state, were also treaties, agreements to various tribes, and these tribes were not a part of the Dawes Rule Commission land and allotments. Different approaches. Dawes commissions approach the individual land allotments, and tribal members differ significantly from the way the tribes in Virginia, including those that were later recognized by the state. The Rappahannock, the Upper Mattapony, the Nansemond. I didn't say that shit right. I'm going to spell it for y'all, though. Nansemond, the Monacan, the Chirahoka. I can't pronounce that shit. Cheroenhaka. Chirinahaka. I'm still butchering it. The Nottoway and the Potawatomi were treated. Okay? But it doesn't say anything about the Chickahominy. I don't know why it doesn't say anything about the Chickahominy. So, let me get this back to the Dodge rules. So you guys can possibly see that. And now, let's see. How was the Chickahominy tribe affected by the Dawes rules? Okay. So you can see it before I read it. AI overview. The Dawes rules had a significant determination impact on the Chickahominy tribe, like it did with the other American Indian Tribes Act, also known as the General Allotment Act, and a claim to divide the tribal lands and individuals, which was largely authentically to the Chickahominy traditional communal and ownership practices. This led to the loss of tribal land based upon the treaty lands of non-Indian private ownership. This act is also undetermined the Chickahominy tribe structure, authorly making it harder for them to maintain traditional ways of life. There is more detail and breakdowns of the impact. Loss of land. The Dawes Act results in the loss of vast amounts of land tribal of the 90 million acres being stripped from the Native Americans and sold to non-Indians. The Chickahominy also, along with other tribes, experienced the land loss, which seriously accommodated the cultural consequences. Undermining tribal authority. The act sought to dissolve the tribal governments and leaders, creating a division within the tribes and The disturbance, their local cohesion. The future weakened the Chickahominy ability to govern themselves and maintain their cultural practices. Forced assimilation. The Dawes Act was a larger federal policy aimed at assimilating the Native Americans into mainstream American society and encouraging them to become farmers and ranchers. As for conflict and traditional lifestyles and lands, the Dawes roles in the enrollment. The Dawes roles were listed as individuals who were eligible for tribal membership and allotments in the land enrollment often completed and conserved process, with many individuals being arrested and enrolled against their will. Yeah, that's fun. The Dawes Act was subsequently legislation to take the Racial Integrity Act of 1924 and made it difficult for Virginia Indians, including the Chickahominy, to preserve their identity and their culture. While the Chickahominy recognized, they eventually gained formal recognition from the state of Virginia, and the legacy of the Dawes Act continues to affect them to this day. The Legacy Act was discrimination to tribal lands based on the addition. The Chickasaw government prohibited freedmen, former enslaved to the Chickasaw families, to be registered as citizens of the Dawes Roll. Now, notice it didn't say that much about the Chickahominy, the tribe that I'm trying to actually reconnect to on my dad's mom's side. So now you understand why I have to fight so hard against these damn Pretendians. I hope this made a difference in your life and understand that Pretendianism is fucked up, and no one has ever said that these Pretendians didn't have a native grandmother or a native ancestor or a native parent, but they also phenotypically look black, and they should also be held accountable for being part black. I'm part black, I'm part native, I'm part white, and I fight for all three of my heritages, even though I know for a fact the white side will never need me. Thank you for watching. I'm Echo Fan Grey Wolf. Be seeing you.